Stressed all the time? Wired but never relaxed? You wake up tired, crash by 3 p.m., and bedtime feels like a wrestling match with your own brain. That's not just life. That's cortisol stuck on high. And there's a 30-cent plant that drops it 28%. Most people have never heard of it. The plant is ashwagandha. The specific form is the root extract called KSM-66, and the 28% number isn't marketing. It's from a real, randomized controlled trial. Chandrasekhar 2012. 64 chronically stressed adults, 60 days, 27.9% serum cortisol drop versus placebo. Not felt less stressed. Actual measured cortisol in the blood down 28%. For about 30 cents a day on the 3-pack. Here's what cortisol is actually doing to you when it stays stuck high. Your body is supposed to spike cortisol in the morning to wake you up sharp, drop it steadily through the day, and crash it at night so your brain can shut off and sleep. Chronic stress flattens that whole curve. You stay revved at midnight, you feel exhausted at noon, you can't lose belly fat no matter how clean you eat, your hair sheds, your skin breaks out, your sex drive disappears. That's the high cortisol pattern, and it's what ashwagandha is targeting. The active compounds in the root are called withanolides. They don't shut off your stress response. They turn the volume down on the HPA axis, the brain-to-adrenal pathway that pumps out cortisol whenever your nervous system reads danger. So you still respond to real threats. You just stop firing the alarm at every email and every traffic light. The 2025 meta-analysis from Albalawi and colleagues pooled 7 separate cortisol trials, 488 people total. Pooled effect, cortisol down. P less than 0.001. That's the strongest evidence base any natural cortisol intervention has right now. Now here's where most people get it wrong. They take ashwagandha in the morning, like a vitamin, with breakfast. But your cortisol is supposed to be high in the morning. That's how you wake up alert. Hammering it down at sunrise is fighting your own biology. The smarter timing, and this is what the chronobiology suggests, not what the studies directly tested, is evening, sometime after dinner, before bed. You're matching the natural cortisol decline curve and helping it drop deeper into the night. The result for a lot of people is genuinely better sleep within the first week. The dose used in the strongest studies is 600 milligrams of KSM-66 root extract per day, standardized to 5% withanolides. That's 1 capsule of most quality brands. Look for the words KSM-66 and organic root extract on the label. 2 honest notes before we keep going. Ashwagandha has rare hepatotoxicity case reports. If you have liver issues, talk to your doctor before starting. It's also contraindicated in pregnancy and breastfeeding. And if you take thyroid medication, ashwagandha can affect thyroid hormones, so loop in your doctor first. Same boilerplate that applies to anything you put in your body daily. So that's the 28% plant. Real number, real study. Cheap, evidence confirmed in 2025. That's the lead intervention. But ashwagandha by itself won't fix this if you're doing 3 other things that are spiking your cortisol all day long. 1 is probably already in your fitness routine. 1 is something the entire wellness industry has been telling you to do for years. And 1 is so simple it costs nothing, and most people skip it without realizing it's the cheat code. The first one is going to make some people angry. If you're doing high-intensity interval training as your main workout because you think it's good for stress, you're making it worse. A 2025 network meta-analysis pooled 44 randomized trials, 3,284 people. Yoga won. Standardized mean difference of -0.59. Aerobic zone 2 was a close second. And HIIT? HIIT actually raised cortisol, +0.23. The acute spike from sprint intervals never gets to recover if you're doing it 5 days a week and your baseline stress is already high. You feel pumped after, then crash for 3 days. The fix isn't quitting the gym. Swap 1 HIIT block per week for 45 minutes of yoga or slow zone 2. About 150 minutes of low-intensity movement per week is where the cortisol drop maxes out. The second one is going to surprise you because we made a whole video on cold exposure earlier.
Cold plunge is excellent for dopamine, mitochondrial density, and recovery. We stand by that. But cold plunge does not lower cortisol. A 2025 trial and scientific reports measured it directly. 5 minutes in an 8 to 12 degrees Celsius ice bath spiked cortisol 24% in the morning, 11% in the evening. Acute, transient, but real. Cold has incredible benefits. Cortisol reduction just isn't one of them. Use the cold for what it actually does, energy and recovery, and use ashwagandha and yoga for the cortisol target. The third one is the free one, morning light. Within 30 minutes of waking up, get 10 to 30 minutes of bright outdoor light into your eyes. No sunglasses, no window in between, actual sky. This is the move that most people skip, and the longevity researchers all do. Here's the twist. Morning light doesn't lower cortisol. It normalizes the cortisol curve. It sharpens the morning peak, so your body cleanly says, okay, day starts now. And then the curve falls all the way to a deep nighttime trough. A flat curve is what burnout looks like in your hormones. A steep curve is what calm and energy look like. The data on this goes back to Shear and Buis in 1999. Bright morning light boosts the cortisol awakening response by around 50%, which sounds like the wrong direction until you realize a sharper morning peak is what allows the deeper evening crash. You're not lowering the number, you're fixing the shape. And underneath all of this is sleep. The Cauter and Spiegel research from the late 1990s, replicated dozens of times since, is brutally clear. Sleep restriction flattens your cortisol curve. 4 hours a night for 6 nights elevates evening cortisol into the pattern seen in pre-diabetic adults. 7 hours minimum, consistent timing, same wake-up window every day. If sleep is broken, nothing else moves the needle. So that's the actual stack that lowers cortisol. Yoga or zone 2 instead of constant HIIT, morning sunlight in your eyes, 7 hours of consistent sleep, 600 milligrams of KSM-66 Ashwagandha in the evening for an 8-week trial. About 30 cents a day if you grab the 3-pack from a reputable brand. The link is in the description. We recommend DailyNutra KSM-66 Organic Root Extract because the dose matches the studies and the extract is standardized to 5% with analytes, the same spec the trials used. As always, talk to your doctor first if you take medications or have a medical condition. If magnesium also keeps coming up in your cortisol research, that's because it's real. We made a full video on which magnesium form actually works and the timing that matters. There's a card with the link. Stay sharp out there.